On this episode of Wesdoug Moto, we resurrect this raggedy old suspension and give it new life. These are the forks from the Quarantine Cafe Racer. They've seen better days. However, once we get done rebuilding them, they'll look like new. Loosen the cap bolts while the inner fork tubes are still secured by the steering head. With the various pinch bolts loosened, the fork legs can be removed from the upper and lower brackets. Remove the drain screws from the outer tubes and drain the old oil, which can be safely disposed of at your local auto parts store. Carefully remove the cap bolt as the fork spring is under tension. Then remove the fork spring from the inner tube. We won't be reusing these zip-tied dust seals, but be careful not to damage the outer tube when you remove them. Remove the special bolt from the bottom of the outer tubes. Remove the inner tube dampener assembly from the outer tube. Remove clip from the bottom of the inner tube and pull out the dampener assembly, making sure to pay attention to the sequence of the small parts that are removed. To replace the fork seal, remove the wire clip and cover washer from the outer tube. Carefully pry out the old seal without damaging the fork tube. Leverage is key. After many unsuccessful attempts, I found the longest screwdriver in the garage and was able to finally pop out the fork seal. With the forks disassembled, all of the pieces needed a thorough cleaning. The outer tubes were heavily oxidized. A little bit of black spray paint will make them look new. I prepped the surface by sanding the outer tubes, starting with 180 grit, 320 grit, 400 grit. Then I wet sanded with 1000 grit and 1500 grit. Tape off any parts that you don't want painted. The more effort you put into the paint preparation, the better the results. I used 3 coats of etching primer, 3 coats of the black, and 3 coats of clear. I let the paint dry overnight and then removed the wrapping like it was Christmas morning. The chrome on the inner forks was marred with rust. A little bit of WD-40 and a crinkled piece of aluminum foil will do the trick. With all the pieces looking like new, it's time to reassemble the forks. Secure the oil drain screw on the outer fork tubes. With the new seal in place, add the cover washer and the wire clip. Reinstall the dampener assembly in the inner tube. A little oil on the seal helps guide the inner tube back into the outer tube. Next, insert the inner fork tube. At the bottom of the outer fork tube, fasten the bolt that secures the inner fork tube. The shop manual calls for about 4.3 to 4.4 ounces of 10W30 motor oil. I used Mobil 1 synthetic to make sure that the oil doesn't break down. Insert the fork spring with the tighter coils facing down. replace the remaining hardware in the cat bolt. I used a socket to help me thread the cat bolt into the inner fork tube. All that's left is to install the new dust seals. And there you have it, a rebuilt front suspension for the Quarantine Cafe Racer. The next phase of the project involves refurbishing the wheels. If you enjoy this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out at www.wesdougmoto.com, like Wesdoug Moto on Facebook, and follow Wesdoug Moto on Instagram. Until next time, keep the rubber side down.